So recently, I did a video on I Saw the TV Glow. It was a video essay on my main channel, and I essentially it was for university, so it was a bit shit. I was crammed into a very tight time frame. It was supposed to be either between 2 to 5 minutes, so there was a lot of things I really wanted to talk about that I didn't get the opportunity to do because it was only 5 minutes long, and you're supposed to include sources and clips, and I could talk for hours with certain things, especially with things I relate to, and when it's only 5 minutes, it's very difficult to do that. So I'm doing this so I can actually talk about the film a little bit more. This is not scripted, it's just got some bullet points, some notes. But I mainly just wanted to talk about, like, mainly go more in depth with certain things I brought up, but mostly my actual opinion on the film. I did a video essay on They Live, and I don't think my opinion came across with that film at all. The first time I saw it, I didn't really like it. When I did it for the video essay for, I think it was, that was for university. I didn't talk about I didn't get to talk about if I liked the film or not. And when I did the video essay on time loops, despite actually being like a more concept, I didn't get to talk about stuff in depth. I'm probably going to redo that video because I'm not very happy with it, and I think it's not good, and it's very rushed. Some of the stuff had to get blurred because of copyright, and I would have actually liked to show more scenes of the films and talk about them in depth. Honestly, I could have talked about each one of those separately, their own separate videos. So I think one day I might go back to that video and redo it. But with I Saw the TV Glow, it was very personal to me. I saw that film for the first time while I was writing the essay, like literally while I was writing it, doing notes and stuff like that. I wasn't doing it last minute, but I was taking notes while I was watching it. So I was paying attention, but also the kind of way you're not paying attention when you're, trying to write at the same time. But I had rewatched it like a second time, I think. I haven't rewatched it since because that film is just so. I mean, there's something about that film. There's some black magic in that film because it's very. Gives me kind of a weird reaction. A lot of the time when I was watching it, I felt kind of empty when there was a lot of scenes that, like, it made me feel uncomfortable. It felt um like it's a different kind of uncomfortable, and I don't really know how to explain it. But I don't know. I think I enjoyed it the first time I saw it. But I had that. I was a little bit uncomfortable watching it, and I think I don't know if I'm in a rush to rewatch it. It's one of those films I think once was enough, or twice was enough, more accurately. Um, I really did enjoy it, but I think it was just too real. It was too real for me. Um, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's just because it was about the trans experience. I was speaking to my lecturer about this, and he said that, like, there could be a drawing from it. Like that, like a cis or a straight perspective, that it's about imposter syndrome. You could say that, I suppose. I think it being queer, I said in the essay that it's like baked in it, and I think it being queer, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you could have a drawing from that film and just be like, oh, yeah, no, that's imposter syndrome, because it's just very queer and, like, in a weird way. Despite having a BA in higher English, I'm not that great at it. But with that film, it just perplexes me. The imagery that was used in it is like eerie, that it makes you uncomfortable, but not in a sense where I'm like my skin was crawling. There was a scene where Owen, I think is his name is talking to Maddie, and they're on the bleachers, and he's like, "Oh, anytime I think about romance, I just get this pit in my stomach," and I'm like, "Fuck, yeah, no." Little too real, little too real. I think that was the scene where the film connected with me a bit more. Because for the most part, watching it, I was pretty empty. I was like, oh, I get what people are talking about with this, but I am having literally zero emotions. I'm not uncomfortable. I'm not even bored. I'm feeling nothing. And not in like a negative way. I'm literally, feels like it was intentional. Maybe I'm just gassing this shit up. I don't know. Because I felt very empty in a lot of scenes. And it's weird because I'm like, was that the intent? Most likely, yeah. But it might also not have been. The film could just be bad. There are aspects of it that are very schlocky. But I mean, the Pinko Pig is supposed to be like a riff on Buffy. Or more relatable to me, Smallville, I guess. Some of the effects don't look good, and that's intentional. There's a point to that. And like, the effects, to me, they weren't supposed to be the things that were spooking you out. You know, they weren't supposed to be whatever. The main effects that really got to me was like the scene where he cuts his chest open. That was uncomfortable. But overall, yeah, I liked the film. I thought it was really good. Don't know if I'd rewatch it. Maybe. I had a friend who watched it, made them feel miserable. So uncomfortable. They also had a different drawing on the ending of the film. I thought that it was very hopeless because there's like bits where it says there's still time. It's like written on in chalk on the ground, and I felt that was hopeful. But like the scene where he cuts open his chest and he sees the truth, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, he's finally seen that Maddie was right. He's finally moved on, and then he leaves and he's like apologizing to everybody. And to me, the apologizing was like, oh, he's back to like his introverted, having to apologize to everybody for being there, for being an inconvenience, for being uncomfortable. He's back to being who he used to be. And that made me feel kind of depressed. So, I don't know. But I think the main thing, especially with like, there's still time, I think the main drawing is he does realize the truth and he accepts it. Me, I didn't see that initially, and it kind of made the ending very depressing. So, probably why I don't really want to rewatch the film, because I think it's more likely that it was more hopeful, but to me it can sometimes be a bit 50-50. Because if you're a trans writer and a trans audience, you kind of know how uncomfortable and like how awful that shit is, so I don't know. God, the car scene. I've got like notes, like bullet points. The car scene, so uncomfortable. I came out as bisexual, and I was wanting to tell my parents. When they found out I was in a car, and my mum was kind of like the mediator of, oh, well, maybe it's okay, just don't tell your dad, you know, blah, 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 blah. And my dad was more of the aggressive, I hate gay people type. And that was very evident in the film, where the mum was, you know, comforting them while also still being anti-queerness, whereas the dad was like, what are you, a fucking queer? You're one of them queers? That was relatable, as well as the bleacher scene. There was also some other things, like the first scene, the TV, is the light it's shining is like a blue, and then when the Pinko Pig comes on, it like bright pink, and Owen is like transfixed on it. You know, that's and like that's another thing that just, to me, it was like, oh yeah, okay, it's queer. There's also the scene with the dress. I was told about this before I saw the film. I also knew about the birthday party scene, although I never watched it. I think I saw an Instagram reel that had it. Thank God I didn't read those comments, because they would have probably been abysmal. The birthday party scene was miserable. Holy shit. God, it was miserable. It feels like so guttural, I suppose is the right word. Because like the scream feels real, and just nobody notices. I saw somebody say that their take on it was people suffer in silence, or like people suffer and people just either don't notice or don't care to notice. Like, all those people were there, they saw it, and they all just shut down, they don't react, as if it never even happened. As if it wasn't even happening while it was happening. I thought it was interesting. There are also, like, scenes where a lot of the two characters are kind of isolated. When they first meet, Maddie's on the floor, isolated from everybody while there's, like, a thing going on. I think it's prom or something like that. And then Owen isolates from his family to go to her, and they kind of connect, and that's could be the isolation of being queer, but also how being queer, like, connects people. You know, queer people will draw on one another. That's why a lot of people will point out that queer people have friends that are also queer, but it's not that queer people turn people queer, it's that being queer makes people safe, and therefore they're more likely to be together. Although it isn't perfect. I mean, you can have transgender people be racist, which is insane, but, you know, so just because you're woke or whatever doesn't mean you're not a human piece of garbage. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't always correlate. Also, I did bring up that Owen was a trans perspective and Maddie was a lesbian perspective. But the problem I had with this part when I was writing it was, I'm not a lesbian, so, like, I am a trans woman. I don't really look it or sound it or act it, but I am one, but I'm not a lesbian. So I'm kind of writing something that I don't really know about, so I could be wrong. Also, I didn't mean for it to at all, even, I don't know if it even sounded like this, but for it to sound like being lesbian was easier, because there's a lot of areas where it wouldn't be. Also, a friend of mine was like, oh, Maddie's got T-boy swag. And I'm like, you know, I could see it. Don't know if I would agree. I don't know about being trans-masculine enough, but I could see it. So maybe that isn't an accurate analysis I made. Again, it was a 5-minute analysis, so anything I wanted to touch on, I could only touch on. If I was like, because I was speaking to my lecturer about it before it came out, because I reread the question and I was like, oh, I don't know if I answered this question properly. So I asked my lecturer, and I was talking to them, I was like, I don't know if I talked about this enough, or if I answered the question properly. I don't know if I did this. And I was like, I also had this part where I talked about, like, representation in superhero media, but I was like, that's kind of irrelevant. Like, it's good for, like, a standing argument. It's good for, like, showing what a queer representation, a queer drawing on a non-queer piece of media is. But I was like, am I spending too much time on this? If I include a clip, that's spending more time. What do I do? But, like, what else am I supposed to do? It's a 5-minute video essay. It created this problem when the first video essay I did for uni, I was like, oh, 5 minutes? That's easy peasy. It's either that or write a 2,000 word essay. 5 minutes? That's not going to take long at all. I could do that very last minute. In fact, I did it last minute last year with college. But then, when it actually came time to doing it, I was like, oh, I don't have enough time. It would have actually been easier if they gave me 15 minutes. Like, I mean, maybe. I want to do a video essay on, or a review on some films that I really care about that aren't, you know, whatever, that aren't made, the uni and the colleges don't make me do. I'm doing this of my free will, so I don't have to include tons of sources and do a bunch of research, because that's the worst part about it. But with those, I struggle with just starting writing them. So, I don't know, because I was struggling to write the other ones, but there was only 5 minutes, so it didn't take long. But with these, I'm still struggling to start, and it's going to, you know, take forever to keep going. I want to make more stuff, probably more frequently. I do have a gaming channel that I try to upload frequently. All my games are taking so much space in my computer, so I really want to bump those out a lot so I can actually free up some space in my computer. But I really like this film. As I said, I don't know if I'll rewatch it. Maybe I kind of want to rewatch it, like, in company. Like, with a friend that I was talking about, I might rewatch it with them. They might not agree, but I kind of want to see what that would be like. I do think there are some faults here and there with that film. I think that certain... I don't know. It's hard to talk about, but I think the metaphor is... It's a little finicky. The problem with the metaphor is that not everybody gets it. There's so many people that, you know, and like Patrick Bateman. When I first read the book, American Psycho. I fucking hated it because, and I've never reread it, and I hated it because like he's an asshole, and it felt like it was glorifying him, but it was written by a gay man who obviously wouldn't like Patrick Bateman. So, and you know, he'd be a victim of Patrick Bateman, to be honest. I did want to just, before I finish this, talk about how queer TV can kind of shape the queer experience. Because my coming out, my acceptance of being bisexual and being trans was mainly a lot of YouTube, but also during the pandemic, I'm stuck inside and I'm forced to think about myself all day. So literally all I can do. And then I'm also forced to watch a bunch of media, YouTube videos of people accepting that they're queer, and also a bunch of TV with like men that are just objectively attractive. So I'm like, oh, I'm one of them's. And a lot of people will probably bring up that people have been groomed, but it's like, no, I think people just kind of thought about it a lot. It's a pandemic. What else are you gonna do with your time? While people were making banana bread, I sat indoors and watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine 24/7. I literally could not get myself to get out of bed. I was in a depressive slump. All I could think about was myself. It's maths. People just come to conclusions. It's obvious. But a lot of TV shaped that. So I think, that's kind of evident in this film where Owen comes to the realization about himself through TV. And also, of course, it's a film where I related to, and a bunch of people are also going to relate to, that are probably going to come to realizations about themselves through the film. It's paradoxical, it's a loop. I hope to, if I ever do little essays like this ever again, which I probably will do in my film uni career, I hope to make these little videos where I actually get to talk about the film a little bit more in depth and actually what I enjoyed about it and my takeaway and my perspective. Whatever. Oh, yeah. I also did bring up that like time goes by really fast and like time is weird. Oh my god, yeah, dude. I don't really remember much of my childhood. I don't even remember much prior to 2020, and even the recent years are starting to like whatever. And I'm not got dementia. For me, it's kind of hard to just be in the moment when I feel so outside of it, outside of myself. Prom, loved it. I have some friends that didn't go and they said they would have been miserable, but I loved it. But the whole time I was thinking, man, so many people, prom dresses, why couldn't I be in one? Why couldn't I see that? Why couldn't I do this? And I did bring that up. Like, there's this idea of time moving fast, the prom without a dress. And yeah, that was me. It was a miserable experience not being able to go to prom and wear what I like or whatever. It's a shame. And so time kind of moves fast because a lot of the moments you're in, you don't actually feel like you're in the moment. You feel like you're sometimes outside of it, or you're looking back at the moments. It's kind of like the first ever concert I went to, loved it, but I lost my phone like 20 minutes in. So a lot of the time I was freaking out, like, oh fuck, I don't have my phone. I'm in Glasgow, so I'm gonna get trapped because I don't have my phone, which means how can I pay for anything? How can I get home? How can I get a fucking hotel if I have to, even though I don't have any money because I spent all of it on the concert? How am I doing any of this? I don't have my phone, and I was freaking out the entire time, and I was looking at the floor, so I wasn't entirely in the moment. Those overthinking, those whatevers, it kills you. I think that's about it. All I've got to talk about. I mean, I've talked about it long enough. I mean, if the video was 5 minutes long and this is 23 minutes long, with some things probably cut out, so it'll probably be shorter than that. This is maybe like 4 times as long, maybe close to 5. So I don't know how in depth I could be. Maybe one day I'll make a redo of the video. I do want to do one on the time lapse video, so maybe I'll do one on that. And maybe they live. Well, I don't really care about the film enough. I think it's a decent enough concept, but probably not enough to redo. But yeah, that's it. Bye bye.